Okay, hola, soy Román González, le mando un saludo a todos los fans, bendiciones, cuídense.
Taylor here, True School Sports. I'm with Jack Hirsch. How you doing, Jack?
Fine. Good to meet you.
Yeah, nice
Glad to be here.
Yeah, nice meeting you, man. You were just telling me about yourself, about you work for the Boxing Writers Association of America. So could you tell people about yourself?
I was president for 6 years, 2009, started out through the end of 2014, and great experience. I'm still heavily involved with the Boxing Writers Association of America, and it's in my blood. I was involved years before I was president and years after, and so it's a great organization.
Okay. I guess a lot goes into, being part of the Boxing Writers Association of America. What do you think has been like your greatest, I guess, joy being part of the Boxing Writers Association?
Just the involvement when you put on the banquets we have with the Academy Awards of Boxing. Right now our president's Joe Santoliquito, a great guy, good friend of mine too. So I'm doing all I can to help him in the organization. And this year is going to be an especially big year because Floyd Mayweather is going to be our fight of the decade. Canelo Alvarez's male fight of the year. Katie Taylor will be the female fight of the year. And the date hasn't been determined yet, but usually it takes place in April or May.
Okay, so Floyd is fight of the decade?
Floyd's fight of the decade. A lot of people are disputing it, but let me tell you something. 10 years ago, Floyd finished behind Manny Pacquiao for fight of the decade.
Correct.
And that was there was a little bit of controversy then, where it could have gone either way. So some people feel Floyd hasn't fought enough. But when you look at the other candidates, he did beat Canelo Alvarez, he did beat Manny Pacquiao. And the members of the BWA voted. It's a democratic process.
Yeah. Okay. Who are the other choices? It was Floyd, Pacquiao, and
there was Pacquiao. There was Andre Ward. And they were nice choices. Well, I think a lot of people felt Canelo should have gotten it. But what's very interesting, and you tell me, if Triple G had gotten the decisions in his two fights with Canelo Alvarez, like a lot of people felt he should have, would Triple G have been the fight of the decade?
For me?
Yeah.
No, I think.
Had he gotten the decisions?
No, because I have a very different opinion on that than most people. I think everything with those guys is pretty much irrelevant, and I think Roman Gonzalez should be the fight of the decade.
Roman Gonzalez?
Chocolatito should be the fight of the decade. Yes.
Roman Gonzalez. Yeah, but Roman Gonzalez, he got knocked out in his last fight, and he didn't really bounce back from it and win a world title yet.
Yes, that is true, but if you look at what he did throughout the course of the decade, he beat, I think it was about 8 or 9 world champions.
Yeah.
He's out of most of those fighters like Floyd, Floyd didn't fight enough. Pacquiao and Floyd, I think Pacquiao, and this is me, Pacquiao should be not disqualified, but I think Mayweather Pacquiao kind of hurt boxing in America, because they made people wait for it so long, and then when it happened, the fight really didn't live up to it. So, I don't know, Pacquiao
I won't say it hurt boxing. It's a funny story behind that. I had presented Manny Pacquiao a Fight of the Year award and a Fight of the Decade award from the Boxing Writers Association of America. And 1 year before Mayweather fought Pacquiao, I presented to Mayweather the Fight of the Year award from the Boxing Writers Association of America. 1 year later, the two of them are fighting. Credentials were murderous to get. I probably could have gotten one. Even if it would have been in the upper deck because they were extra tight at ringside. But I elected not to go to Vegas, and they were overpricing it at $99, $95. So I took $99 and I went to the flea market and wrote a story how the money could be better spent with pictures of the items I picked up. And I got third place in columns in boxing writers contest that we have each year called the Bernies. But all the people were complaining it was a boring fight, how bad it is for boxing. Guess what? They'll be back for a rematch.
Yeah,
they'll spend their money again, and then they'll complain again if it's not a good fight. So, what's that line? Fool me once. Yeah. Okay.
But going back to Chocolatito, he was 24-2 in the decade. His only 2 losses were to Rungvisai,
and I thought he won the first fight.
And that's what I'm saying. He won the first fight, and then if you go back even before the Rungvisai fights, he beat Quadras, who was the number 1 guy at 115 with no tune-ups. He moved to 115 with just no tune-ups. He did what Alex Arguello failed to do against Aaron Pryor. He became the first fighter from this country to win a world title in 4 weight classes. He in 2014 he beat Akira Yagashi, who was the lineal flyweight champion. Basically, every time he won a world title, with the exception of him at 115, he knocked the fighters out.
Right, but you're talking about excellent quantity. you have to look at the fight of the decade. What's the defining win? That's what a lot of people look at, that one single win. Did he win a massively big fight? Basically, he was just consistently very good the whole decade. And then when he got knocked out, had he bounced back quickly and won a world title, then perhaps, his name could have remained in the discussion.
Yeah.
But it's hard in boxing. One loss is unforgivable. Again, I think if Triple G had gotten the decision in the second Canelo fight, let's say even if the first was a draw, I think he would have had an excellent chance because people would have looked at his body of work.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
But I would argue that Romo Gonzalez still has a better resume than him, even with the loss.
Okay, you could make, okay.
Because, would you consider Juan Francisco Estrada a pound-for-pound fighter right now? Is he on the top 10 pound for pound?
He might be hovering around the number 10 mark. Yeah.
Yeah. Roman beat him.
Roman beat him, yeah.
Roman beat Valoria.
Roman was headed for greatness. He was great.
He was great.
Okay, but somehow he didn't quite sustain it. As soon as he hit the point where you could call him a great fighter, a special fighter, who we couldn't wait to see, kind of like an Alexis Aguayo, Roberto Duran type, he didn't have the longevity of those guys.
Yeah.
He suffered a devastating loss. And didn't quite bounce back. Okay, and I think that's what people look for, a little bit of a redemption story.
I understand
that. Maybe Chocolito's still going to have it because he has a big
fighting your 5.
Right, he has a big fight coming up, and he maybe becomes a world champion again, and maybe takes it from there. And,
perhaps.
Yeah, and if he wins that fight and has a great year, maybe he could be fight of the year. But guess what? He's going to be an underdog in that fight. So look at how his stock has fallen,
Yeah. I just think it's not fair to him, though, because, he was in his prime before he even got to America. Some of his best performances took place before he even got to HBO, because the first fight with HBO, I think, was the Edgar Sosa fight on the Golovkin Monroe undercard. And then, they matched him tough. It wasn't like he was taking tune-ups. He wasn't getting tune-ups. He fight Arroyo and then Valoria.
Well, sometimes you have a fight like Gonzalez. Even though he was an outstanding fighter for a number of years, somehow certain fighters, when they crash, it all falls apart. It's not just, they lose it, and they lose it very quickly.
Gonzalez, le mando un saludo a todos los fans. Bendiciones, cuídense.